After 34 years and after coaching more champions than what we have time to talk about here in this segment, the former head coach now of the Liberty cross country and track and field programs, Brant Tolsma, has called it a career and is enjoying retirement now. And Coach Tolsma joins us here on the Liberty Flames Sports Network. Coach, appreciate the time. Congratulations to you. What an incredible run. I know that this was kind of a bizarre way to end it in the middle of a global pandemic, and you didn't get to play out the entire season with the outdoor teams in the spring. But you've had some time to ease into retirement now, as we were just talking a couple of moments ago. What has it been like to kind of slow down here?
Well, it's nice not to have the pressure. I still want to work, and I'm working every day, but I'm not in any kind of rush, and I don't have deadlines. And this is kind of the way life is meant to be, I think. I can't picture not doing anything. I hope I'll be productive for the next couple of decades, but and I'm staying really busy, but there's no rush.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I can't ever see you just stopping altogether. I mean, you've been on the go now for at least these last 34 years. More than that, really, though. You started your coaching career at Campbell before you came to Liberty, and then was an assistant coach here. But you enjoy running yourself. You enjoy getting outdoors. You enjoy water skiing. I mean, are those all things that you've been able to do more of or plan to do more of?
Well, part of the reason I retired is I've been slowing down. I don't have the energy levels anymore, and I really felt like I was getting to the point where the job demanded more than I was able to give, and it took some younger blood. So I want to see the program stay on the same track it's been. And a whole year ago, I started trying to convince Coach Bingham that it would be good for him to come back. And things at Liberty right now are so good that, with the exception of the pandemic, I guess, but working here has been so nice the last few years that I know he would. It's like the dream job, and I was praying and hoping that he might consider it. And at first, he really wasn't open to it, but as the Lord worked on him, little by little, he came around, and we made the decision around Christmas time that he was going to come back. And then we were kind of forced to keep it quiet for several months, which was a challenge because he was the only right one to tell his team that he was leaving, and he didn't want to do that till after the indoor championship. So we made the decision the indoor championship would be the time that we'd make the announcement. And as it turned out, we're really glad we did that. If we would have been planning to wait till outdoor, that never would have happened. So kids would have gone home, and then they would have read that their coach was leaving. And so it all worked out really well. And I can't say enough about the support that I've had from Ian and Todd to make this transition as really smooth. Coach Bingham's actually coming back in town for good. He was here for 10 days, but he's coming back next Tuesday with his wife. And so I'll just be helping him with the transition a little more and learn the ropes. But having been here 18 years, he's ready.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That seemed like kind of a perfect fit, a perfect choice there to follow you up, as he had already been here as an assistant with you for several years prior, and then had that head coaching experience now as well. 116 conference championships, 77 Conference Coach of the Year awards. You've coached 6 individual All-American winners as well. It's funny because when you took over the program, you were hired back in '86 by Jake Mathis, a legend in his own right, who's in the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame, and had taken the program to a lot of successful championship runs himself. It's funny because I've always heard you never want to be the guy after the guy whenever you're taking a job, or the one after the one, I guess. But when you look at your career and what you've been able to do and take this university to the heights that you have, and certainly haven't done it alone. I know that you would credit a lot of other folks for playing a role in that. But when you look back over this, I mean, could you have ever envisioned the success that this program's had over the last 3 decades?
Well, I think when I first came, I didn't have I never envisioned what was going to happen when I first came. But but I sat under Dr. Falwell's preaching for, I think, about 20 years. And he was not only a man of faith, but he was a man that instilled faith in other people. And I started believing that we're going to win a national championship someday. And that never happened. And we had national champions individually, but it never happened. So that's still on the docket for somebody to do. And certainly could happen in the future. You never know. I mean, but everything, as you get past it all, you can see it was all just a blessing. In the beginning, you think it's up to you. But then when it's over, you realize, no, I contributed, but really it was God's plan and God's blessing. And that's the same thing Coach Bingham needs. And if we continue to stay on the right track, which I believe certainly he will lead it on the right track, and our administration's leading on the right track, as long as we stay on that track, God's going to continue to bless. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future. I certainly believe the best days of Liberty Track and Field are in the future, not in the past. But I am honored to have had a long-term role here. And I highly doubt that Coach Bingham will break my record of 34 years as a head coach. and so, but it's not like he's competing against me. He's doing the same mission that I had for a while, and I'm really excited to see younger blood taking over. And I'm totally impressed that God could have done it with anybody. He could have done it at a higher level if he wanted to, but the way he's blessed steadily and continually in growth, it's all been very satisfying, and I'm really appreciative.
What's something that Coach Mathis told you that you took with you or helped you when you took over the program? And by those same means, what's some advice that you've given Coach Bingham as he takes over?
That's a challenging question. Coach Mathis never put any reins on me, really. He actually worked for me for, I think, only about, let's see, I came in 86. I think he retired in 91. So he wanted me to take over the program, be the head track and field coach. And he was the cross-country coach during that time. And so I just gave him free rein. But, of course, he gave me free rein. So he didn't try to mold me at all. Just if I wanted some advice, he would give it. But that's the same kind of role I hope to play with Coach Bingham. He's the man now, and God will speak directly to him. So he doesn't need me. But the fact that he has appreciation for what God used me to do, and the fact that I think he'll let me hang around a little bit are things that make me happy. I think it's going to be a great relationship, and I'm available at any time to give him any kind of advice, but the decisions are now his. The headaches are also his. I'm glad to give them up because, it gets a little tougher sometime when you get older. But the perspective, that's the thing I like about being 70 years old, is you get a better perspective on life having gone through the various phases of it.
Well, we've talked about some of your accomplishments here, Coach, but looking back to that 2009-10 season, winning all 6 conference championships, men's and women's cross country, men's and women's indoor track and field, men's and women's outdoor track and field. Where does that rank amongst the accomplishments for you and the championships that your teams won?
Well, I tend to think in terms of people, and the big name from 2010 was Sam Shalanga, and that was a huge blessing to have him come to Liberty. Probably the most amazing, unbelievable thing that happened during my tenure was that we won the National Cross Country Championship individually 3 out of 4 years, and got runner-up the other year. And that just doesn't happen to any school. I don't know if there's been a school, even the schools that are powerhouse distance programs, and to think that would happen in a program that never got a team to the National Cross Country Championship. That was just a blessing of huge proportions. And of course, there were many good athletes on the team at the time. Winning is not only about how good you are, but It's also about how good the competition happens to be at the time, especially in the conference level. And we've won a lot of conference championships, but a few of them that we lost were because the other team was so good. And then a few of them that we lost were because we beat ourselves. But those are the really tough ones. Losing to high-level competitor is it's not fun, but it's certainly something that you get used to, and it's motivational. But so that was a good team. But as I think back, the 1996 team was also a really amazing team. That was a year that we knocked off the George Mason at the IC4A championship, and they were the national champions that year. So that was another really huge blessing from God. But as I look back over some of these things, it's very much like Bible times. You get a blessing, but you can't say when that blessing's going to come. And that's all in God's hands. And it's like you think, okay, if you're blessed, why didn't you win them all? Well, the whole process is a growth process, and sometimes you could grow more from a loss than you do from a win. Often you can, and we got to the point where at the conference level, we pretty much were expecting to win, and that's a hard position to be in all the time, because even if you lose, let's say we go to a track meet and we win men and we lose women, you're not happy. You want it all. And so that takes away a little bit if you let the pressure get a hold of you, that takes away a little bit of fun out of it. But I think being on Liberty Track and Field and involved with it has really been a fun experience, and you want to enjoy the whole process and don't let what other people are expecting or pressure that's being put on you take away from the fun of it. If it does, it's time to get out.
Well, last thing here, you've written a book, you've written articles. We talked about your running, but you want to slow down a little bit. So, what do you think retirement's going to look like for you, and can we expect to see you around still?
Well, that's interesting that you had mentioned a book. Right now, I'm really involved in renovating a house because I have a rental house that the people happen to move out, and I said, okay, this is a good chance to renovate it. So that's keeping me busy. But as soon as I'm done with that, I'm planning to get back on the rewrite of the first book I wrote, The Surrendered Christian Athlete, because that's out of print now. So I'm adding some chapters to that. And then when I get that done, or maybe even before, I'm going to write a second book called The Surrendered Christian Coach. And I really feel like God has prepared me to do that. So before my mind starts completely going, my memory's not as good as it used to be anymore, but before I go downhill fast, I'd like to get that book written and see what kind of doors God would open for that. I feel like there's a lot of things that right now I wish I could have told my 25-year-old self, 45 years ago. And so I would like to write that book primarily for younger coaches, but to try to give them some guidance in how you become a surrendered Christian coach.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to that. And just on behalf of the athletics department, just thank you so much for everything that you've done and what you've meant to this program, and looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
Thank you. I am as well. Appreciate it.